Hello, Soul being absolutely beautiful every time. It's Sweet Venus on the mothership. So I'm pretty excited about sharing my perspectives on the Sinners movie. If you haven't watched it, I wouldn't recommend watching this until you have, because it's a deep dive and we're gonna spoil it for you. And I was really fascinated with the symbology of everything. Um, there was a greater story being told beyond that. At least I'd like to think, to believe. A good filmmaker would. There's always something deeper to explore beyond race and beyond what just meets the eye. And I believe it's a masterclass on embodying wholeness from your sovereignty. And there's a lot of energy at play and witnessing the transformation that happens within to actually become the version you came here to embody, regardless of the family you've been born into, regardless of circumstances, regardless of societal hierarchies, regardless of whatever the worst case scenario that might happen. It is all serving your transformation. And I wrote some notes I'd like to share with you. So, okay, so of course, this video is dedicated to all the black sheep and all the people who came to break generational curses, trauma breakers, transmuters, those who came to integrate old earth into new earth using their divine gifts. Because it's all about collapsing the past, present, and future, and realizing that everything we are creating is happening through you, as you, right? It's all about using what you've been given, that you're good at, that you love to do, and using it to create something beautiful beyond your imprisonment, beyond what your mind is telling you that this is all you are. So we're going to deep dive into the symbology, the energy expression, reflecting how the internal world is reflected, and also the difference between soulful decisions versus soulless or soul imprisoning decisions. Okay, so we're going to deep dive right into it. So scene one, which is, I believe, is the thesis of the movie, because it happens the day after this whole chaos unfolds. The fact that he put it in the first place, I believe that it is the thesis of his message. And the filmmaker, wait, I want to respect him. I forgot his name. He's the one who made Black Panther. I know his name, but I just want to make sure that is correct. Yeah, Ryan Coogler. He put it in the first scene to really make us pay attention to the energy exchange, right? Everything is coming from this relationship, the father-son relationship. And I believe the thesis of the movie is about the energy you make, your choices from, either makes you or breaks you, right? And it's the nuance we're focusing on is energetic boundaries. And energy boundaries are the boundaries you make within yourself without needing any external structure. It's within yourself, right? And we can already see that his father has more influence on him than his mom, because the father was like, no, stop, this is how we're gonna go, right? It's almost like symbolizing the imbalance of power, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So the masculine is on top, the woman is on the bottom. And I believe a healthy union is masculine and feminine shoulder to shoulder together, because we are all powerful. We just have different weaknesses and strengths. And when we realize like we're on the same playing field, we can start creating from balance, from inner harmony and inner balance, instead of like control of power, which is how this world has been birthed. We're trying to get back our power, women. We're trying to get back our power because our voices have been stifled. Our our ability to co-create from our power has been taken away from us because of the story of, we can go that deeper into that later. So we're paying attention to the pastor's kid, right? To the father-son dynamic. The father or represents authority, which is enforces structure in our life. And we're focusing on the masculine energy conditioning. So masculine energy conditioning is all about the doing, discipline, logic, goals, how you lead your life. And again, we noticed that the mother was cut off, so there's an imbalance of influence on the child. And I just learned this. The matrix, it comes from the etymology. When you go through the etymology, it means mother. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. And so he's cut off from the matrix, from the 3D, from the nurturing safe space, and he's being put into the real harsh world. So it's all about survival, being forced to make a choice he really doesn't want to make. And the father is projecting identity onto son. So there's an enmeshment happening. And he's being forced to make a decision whether to listen to external authority or eternal authority. And we all get to, in our lives, over the period of our lives until we expire out of the suit, we get to make choices, whether from eternal authority or external authority. And when you find yourself continuously creating a life based on external authority, you're a victim to your circumstances. You're a victim in the 3D and in the third dimension, right? This the life we're experiencing right now. But when you make life from internal authority, the third dimension becomes like a playing ground. It's not, you're no longer a victim to it. You're more of a co-creator with your space, with the systems that have been given to you. And we're going to see how this boy does that. So the scenes after that, we're introduced to the twin 1 and twin 2. It's the same actor, we know that. But I found it interesting, and I want to explore 3 different perspectives with you. The first perspective is that the twins are each representing the conscious mind and the subconscious mind of the pastor's kid, while he self-actualizes and becomes sovereign. And the second perspective is that each twin symbolizes the fragmented parts within himself. The third one is the mirrored transformation of past, present, and future. So you got a past self, present self, and future self. And they're all co-creating right here, right now. It's all happening right here, right now. So we're going to go deeper into this. So twin 1, how I came to believe that he was the conscious mind because he's the one in control. He's in blue. He's the one who has a tight closed hat. He's like that, right? And twin 2, he's in the red open hat. It's like this. And the first twin, he's always controlling, his logical, everything is, he's reeled in and he's very attentive, right? He's like here and here, 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 right? He's closed and he's using his left brain. He symbolizes the left brain because, you know, in our brain we have left and right. And he's very cold. The blue represents his cold energy. He's very serious, he's very rigid. Whereas the second twin, which represents the subconscious mind, he's open. His head is open. So his openness represents awareness, his right brain. He's embodying the right brain, his warm energy, his fun-loving, his playful, right? The right brain is all about intuition. So here I'm just collapsing all these 3 perspectives together. We're just gonna be playing in these 3 perspectives. And let me know which one you got activated by, and even your different perspectives that you saw. I'm really curious what you saw. So the PK, he represents the inner child. So this is the most pure, unconditioned, vulnerable, innocent self, the one that isn't touched by the world. So this storyline is all about paying attention to how he's being influenced by these 2. You know, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, each fragmented part, how they each play a part in his self-identity when he actualizes, when he becomes whole. And we also get to experience his journey from wounded child to a healthy child after he has come to wholeness. So when we go deeper into the two twins, right? So the one in control, he's the one who makes decisions, he's linear thinking, he's outward tough. He looks outward, he's tough. But inside, as we go into more scenes, and as his character develops, we see that he's actually fragile and life toughened him up. And we get to understand that he's actually running away from painful emotions and the reality that his baby got taken away and he couldn't control that. And we can see that at the baby grave scene where it symbolizes how he killed his inner child. He doesn't have a solid connection with his inner child, right? So we're going beyond the real context here. We're going in symbology. And this explains why he has a suppressed heart, the grief of disconnecting from his inner child so that he can fit into the real world, so he can get power. He associates success with power. He associates success and safety with external control. And when he lost his kid, he lost control. So what happens when you lose control? You feel all these emotions. So in order to control it, he shuts down his heart, right? So he doesn't feel. So he's having a hard time dealing with lower emotions. And that's also seen that it's a pattern for him because he killed his dad to protect his other self. And then the other twin, his powerlessness is around co-creating from the love he desires. So he loves that, and I'm talking about the twin two who's in love with the white girl. And here I'm using race to as a visual, so you can know which twin I'm talking about. I'm not talking about race as in making someone feel inferior, someone being inferior to somebody else. I'm talking from the soul brain, not from the ego brain, okay? Just to clear that up. So he feels powerless because there's no inner union of divine masculine and divine feminine. So this relationship between him and the white girl symbolizes that there's no union between them, right? They desire each other, they love each other, but the divine masculine is rejecting the divine feminine because he feels that he can't protect her because he's black. She can never be safe with them. And because he's a slave in that time period. He's seen as a slave because the systems reflect that he's a slave. He's not in his power. He can never be in his power. Everything around him disempowers him. So when he sees her and her skin color reminds him that he can never really truly cover her, protect her. So there's no true union between them, right? And so it's this connection is an external representation of the union within ourselves. There's no inner authority. Which means that there's no flow states. Your masculine energy and your feminine energy, they're working against each other. They're not in union. They're not working together, because when you embody your divinity, the masculine energy and feminine energy, they will co-create within you. And your parents symbolize your parents' higher self, symbolize this sacred union of creating, from this sanctity of co-creation for higher frequencies. But there's conflict there, right? So we can see these different fragmented, the nuance, the subconscious in the subconscious mind, right? Because the second twin is the subconscious mind, but within his own subconscious mind, this is what's going on. And it's made, he just happens to be more aware of his emotions, he's more emotionally intelligent than the first twin. He sacrificed his love because he realized that he couldn't really give her what she deserved. So going to the snake scene, where there was the inner child opened the back of the car, and there was a snake. And I found it particularly interesting that the inner child was specifically revealed it. And the conscious twin, the controlling one, the one with the blue, and he has the closed hat, he killed the snake out of fear. And I believe the snake is a symbol of Kundalini, which is also known as the Holy Spirit. So it's the energy that rises within you to take you to higher states of consciousness. So it raises you from just perceiving certain limited perspectives just through the animal limited conditioning mind to actually seeing beyond how God sees things through you, right? And I found it interesting that the second twin gave him the knife, and the second twin symbolizing the subconscious mind. This means that his subconscious is filled with fear and needing to protect self, survival instincts. That's his template, the inner child's template, right? So the first twin killed the snake, and I believed by him doing this, because his subconscious is all about surviving and protecting himself. He short-circuited the energy from rising up, and because his heart is closed, the first twin's heart is closed, so he suppressed this energy from rising higher. So he has a blockage in his heart that's preventing him from self-actualizing, from embodying his best version of himself. So we go into the scenes after the sunset. So the sunset reveals that where the weakest spots are within your consciousness, within our beingness, right? So the inner child, of course, embodies purity, the divine. He has the divine gift of singing, of expressing, of playing the guitar. And he experienced this freedom of expression that he couldn't in the church. He could create and sing what came from the soul. And what comes from the soul, when you sing in union with your human experience, you're transmuting pain into medicine. And that's what he was doing. That's how he could collapse past, present, and future, and sync it all together into eternity, into the eternal realm, into heaven on earth. Heaven on earth, because you're transmuting all your conditioning and creating storytelling and using it to free yourself and others. And that's what actually heaven on earth is all about. It's an embodiment, it's a consciousness. And there's a lot of illusions of what heaven on earth is. It's not something that you go to after you die. It's not something that you do out of ignoring your discernment. It's about working through what is true, you right here, right now, and using what's true to find it within yourself. It's not attached to anybody. It's not attached to the ego, to the mind. It's attached to opening your heart and expressing from your soul, from your pureness, from your innocence, from just being. So he was just being. He represents the beingness of us, right? So this is his highest expression, and it is targeted by demons, and he's experiencing psychic attacks, the demons coming in, the vampires, symbolizing soul-sucking systems. We have systems like going to work 9 to 5, you're going a job that sucks your soul. It doesn't pour into you, you're pouring into it, right? So it also represents people who want to use you for their own benefit. So this could be places where you're people-pleasing, and people who poison you instead of support your free will. So all those demons, they were representing all of that. But I found it also interesting how, as he was singing from the soul and he was transmuting all his pain from his heart space into freedom, he was co-creating in union with the Holy Spirit, with the Kundalini energy. That's how he was able to burn everything that wasn't serving him, everything that wasn't serving his bloodline, everything that wasn't serving the collective. It was a spiritual initiation that triggered everything. As you can see, like in this particular scene, the whole barn, the barn was burned down. And I believe that's symbolized he was burning down what wasn't serving him. He initiated a spiritual transformation, because everything happens through the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit comes into your body, into your matter body, right? Because when you're trying to move matter to matter, which was what the conscious twin was trying to do, it doesn't work. You got to open your heart. You got to fill yourself, your inner child, create from your inner child, transmute it, create from truth, and create in union with the Holy Spirit, with Kundalini energy, and let the Holy Spirit Kundalini move through you, right? And the Kundalini will activate you. From here, you don't really have control on how things move outside around you. So using your divine gifts will help you to reconnect to your divinity. It will help you collapse disempowering timelines into higher timelines, raising frequency for yourself, for the collective. And also, I found it interesting how just focusing on this inner child, on this pastor's kid, we could also see the dichotomy of external world versus inner world, right? How when we make choices from outside of ourselves, outside of our wholeness, we never choose something that serves the greatest, our greatest self and the greatest self of others. For example, he was chasing this woman who was clearly married, but who was lustful. She was kind of like seductive. She was like, I'm married, but she was staying open, right? He was choosing lust. He was letting himself be taken out of his center, out of his wisdom body, right? Because he wasn't really paying attention to his inner authority. He didn't have an inner authority then. He was being controlled by his animal body. And he was sourcing power outside of himself instead of inside himself. He was making unwise childlike choices. He was focusing too much on his self-pleasure, his self-desires, and not others, not paying attention to like, well, he has a husband at home. How would that affect his husband, right? Or how would this affect her life after this? And of course, that connection, it was emotionally unavailable. It was just lust. It wasn't pure. And that mirrored the fact that he wasn't emotionally available for himself, which the first twin, the conscious mind, he embodies that. He closed his heart. He wasn't emotionally available for himself. He was closing himself. He was suppressing these emotions. And the demons coming to approach him symbolized the fact that, all that suppression wasn't working anymore. He was repressing, and then the can of worms open. And when you're suppressing, everything you're suppressing, it will follow you no matter what, right? Because it's all happening in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is always open. It's paying attention to everything. You're always programming yourself. You're always being programmed. Your mind is the weakest point, right? So when you're not on top of it, you become a victim of all of this. So the vampire sins represent how spiritual energy manifests in the physical world. So all spiritual energy is not good. There's good spiritual energy and bad spiritual energy. The vampires represented the bad spiritual energy. And the inner child, he's pure. He represents the spiritual energy in union with the Holy Spirit that is pure. It's just beingness. There's no extra anything. There's nothing outside of yourself. You're just being. But the negative spiritual energy wants to take this innocence out of him. It wants to poison it, right? So it's all about understanding energy and how to discern the energy you're inviting into your inner circles. Do you guys have the similar values or not, right? And you always know, your body's always communicating with you, but when you're in your mind a lot, it disconnects you from, you become too rigid, right? You don't want to be too rigid, you don't want to be too open, you want to be in the middle. Paying attention to who you're re-inviting into your inner circles, you have outgrown, right? The first twin had outgrown the second twin. And also knowing, like, there's good money and bad money. Not all money is good. The second twin's girlfriend went to notice that there was desperation of money. He was leading from money. He needed money. It was all about money, 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 money. So of course that helped, that made them they sacrificed the frequency of the money they're receiving. They're like, any money is good as long as it's got money, right? That's all we care about. But really, it's about creating community. It was about creating a place to escape for a moment from the reality of disempowering stories they were living through every day in the cotton fields. So the scene with the twin brother dying, I thought it was a symbol of him becoming aware of himself, of the subconscious mind programming that is poisoning his soul. Whatever is poisoning his soul, he's becoming more aware of it. And as the movie progresses, the twin, of course, he stays in character. He's trying to control the Asian lady. The Asian lady is triggered by the fact that, oh my gosh, she's a mother. So I was pissed off she acted like that, but it's very in character for a mother to be like, oh my gosh, my child is out there. If my husband goes to my child, she's gonna be poisoned too. So she made a sacrifice. She's like, whatever, get in, come in, right? So the twin can't control other people. He thought he could control everything, but this was his biggest lesson, which is that some things you can never control, including death, the cycle of nature, the laws of nature you can't control, how other people choose to act. Everybody has free will. You can't control that. The only thing you can control is your choices, what you choose to do with what the external is revealing. So just like that, he's forced to face reality. He can't suppress anymore. Everything is coming, the chaos is coming to him, right? So he has to face the main demon that controls the other demons. And the other demons, it's just controlling, it's just reflecting the shadow self, the things that you're running away from, right? And I found it very interesting that the inner child, when he was being attacked by the main demon, he was using the Lord's Prayer, but he was doing it from a disempowered, fearful place. He was so scared, right? Because he hasn't found inner authority yet. And the demon was praying with him and baptizing with him, right? And it was in that moment when he realized that he was begging for protection, and begging for protection from divinity won't save you. You gotta save yourself. So that's when the adult self shows up and mends up. That's his transformation happening. He mends up, activates and transforms his inner authority. So from being collapsed, being a victim, expecting someone to save you, to being erect and saving himself and piercing the heart of the issue. So the first twin now has full attention. He's facing the heart of the problem, of all his problems, right? No more running. And he holds the inner child so tightly and courageously watches the emotional chaos turn into clarity. So all this the demon burning up and screaming, whatever, right? It's scary, but he's being courageous, holding his inner child and facing it, reality. And the demons are symbolizing the demons in the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, the spiritual body that are leaking energy, right? So it's being aware of the things that are short-circuiting your energy coming into full circulation, right? The Holy Spirit moving through these 4 bodies through you so you can embody your highest potential. You can embody God's blueprint in your DNA. So of course the sun rises and all the chaos is dissipated. All the darkness is lifted within and outside. So now you've come into full power. So, when the vampires burn up under sunlight. So now he has newfound clarity. He has come from the subconscious mind. He's now aware of the choices he needs to make from power. His heart, this first twin, the one in blue, the very serious one, his heart is now open because he's lost the love of his life. He lost his juke joint. He put a lot of money, and all the people he brought in that died, right? So it's gotten worse than he expected it to. So he's angry. He's even aware that he created his previous life on false power, on false freedom, and on a false reality, symbolized by the slaughterhouse he bought. It was a slaughterhouse this whole time for them, from black people. It wasn't, it had meaning. When he was checking the board, it had blood, but they didn't know that. And they were coming for them to kill them. Wasn't supposed to say that word on YouTube. Oops. They were meant to end them. So he uses anger to transform his mind. He uses his anger to transform his mind. He doesn't use anger to consume him. So here everything I'm talking about is symbolic. I'm not vouching for you to go and end people's life. It doesn't align with my values. We honor all life is sacred, okay? So we're talking about symbolism here. So he uses anger to transform his mind. He reframes what the slaughterhouse meant. He's not a victim. He's not the one who's being slaughtered. He's the one who's slaughtering, right? So it's his slaughterhouse. It's not a slaughterhouse where he gets to be slaughtered. So I thought that was very interesting. He reframed his mind. So the slaughterhouse of demons and blockages and external barriers, he took charge of the narrative. Now a different story lives through him. If he didn't, it would have been a slaughterhouse that disempowered him, where he was slaughtered. So when you notice, when he does that, he gets shot and whatnot, you notice that he has unified matter and spirit. You can see his lover and their child together in the spirit world, right? There's more peace. It's like his wounded ego has died, and now he's having a rebirth. And he's turned his true soul's desires. He didn't really want money and power. He wanted his chosen family. So opening his heart and gaining empowered clarity from it freed him from this pain he was feeling. So he got clarity when his wounded ego died. And then he had this rebirth which brought him soul clarity. And the inner child, we go and look at the inner child. We now know he chose to individuate himself from the groupthink, and he followed his soul's whispers, because the first scene where he had to make the choice between his soul and his conditioning with the old survival templates, he chose his soul, right? And it was because of all this transformation that happened within his spirit, within his emotional body. He transmuted everything. He had already initiated that process. And when it came into reality to support, to back up that choice, he made the toughest decision he had to make, which was to individuate from the disempowering structures, disempowering the toxic patriarchy, the toxic conditioning. So he actually, by doing that, he actualized his inner child's dream. And you can see him like he's super happy, he's fulfilled, joyful when he's playing his guitar, singing, he's like in the groove, he's happy, right? He's doing what he loves. So he didn't let his survival template conditioning enslave him. He'd enslave his soul and keep him at the plantation, because if he didn't, he'd still be at the plantation. He wouldn't have seen a world beyond that. He chose a path where he created from more love and not more fear. It was the state of consciousness he was creating from. So he made sovereign choices. In that moment in that church, he made a sovereign choice that individuated him from the groupthink. So now he was in autonomy from the mind. He had autonomy from the mind, from the collective mind, right? From the collective programming. And also he had autonomy from the demons. He's not being a victim to them, which is also mirrored in when the second twin, who's the vampire now, and we can see that he's now in union with his divine feminine, because now he's in a state of consciousness where he can actually protect her. Because, I mean, he's a vampire. He's now in power, right? But we're not talking about the morality of how that happened. We're talking about the symbology. So there's now union within himself between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So the energies are now in union. They're now working together, which represents wholeness. It represents self-acceptance, individualization, because also the vampires have individuated from the big demon. And also being a vampire, the soul is individuated from the group, right? So there's now inner peace. There's they're now creating life on their own terms. So the subconscious mind is now filled with new beliefs. They're reflecting that he receives abundance, money from just being him, not through force, right? Because he just gave him $200 just like that. He didn't ask for it. It's just, he's like, wow, that was amazing. Just for like 2 seconds, he got, that's how easy it's supposed to be. And you receive from just creating from the truth of who you are, not bypassing the truth, working through it towards fullness. So yeah, this is what I got. I know it's a little deep, but I couldn't help myself when I watched it. Like I got really into it. I was like, okay, let's strike while it's still hot. And yeah, so this is the work that I'm really, really passionate about. All this inner transformation, all these demons, psychic attacks, I went through it when I was individuating from an enmeshed family system with codependency. Now I embody interdependence, which is a healthier way of co-creating with family, with other people, instead of having a collapsed inner authority, which would be like you're sourcing your authority from outside of yourself instead of from inside of yourself. So you're always depending on other people to fulfill you, right? And it's always going to be toxic. It's going to short circuit your potential. And I had to face my inner demons. I had to face the things that I was numbing myself out of, so that I could actually embody this version of me where I can trust what's coming through me, even when it goes against my programming that I was given. Because I know there's more. This programming, I have wisdom that this programming is coming from fear, from survival. It's not divine truth. And when you reconnect with your inner child, there's always this clarity of knowing what's true and what's an illusion. And it's often people who have disconnected from their inner child who are telling you that you're on the wrong side, who are telling you like, no, this is the way things are done. I'm like, actually, yes, if you lean in a little bit more to the middle, if you come back and re-nurture yourself, your soul, re-nurture your inner child, reconnect to the divine feminine within yourself, and really pay attention to your emotions. Let your emotions heal you instead of curse you. So this is the work we do in Mental Alchemy Academy. Welcome if this is your first time coming to my channel. And if you want to go dive deeper into this work, right now we're learning that awareness is not a tool to disempower you, but to enlighten you. And when you're using awareness to disempower you, you are sourcing power from within, from outside of yourself. You want to come within yourself and using all this material to empower you instead of disempower you. So it's all about learning to ask the right questions that empower your choices as you self-actualize and support your sovereignty. So join us in the Sovereign Mind Activation. More information below or in the About section. And also in a couple of weeks, we'll be starting, I'll be reopening Soul Driven Radiance, which is all about recoding your emotional programming. If your heart is closed, if you're creating from your lower mind, from your lower heart, you're repressing your emotions. The Soul Driven Radiance container is going to be for you to support that transformation, so you can actually use your whatever's in your heart to empower you instead of disempower you. More information in the About section. Otherwise, I'm curious what you took from this, what got activated. Otherwise, see you on the other side.